I want to tell you about the moment I realized authority had nothing to do with how long you've been doing something. I was sitting on a call with a woman who had been in her field for almost 20 years, 2 decades of experience, and she was asking me, someone who'd been doing this for a fraction of that time, how I built an audience that trusted me enough to buy from me. 20 years of skills, and she still felt invisible online. That's the part nobody tells you. Authority isn't a reward for time served. It's not a plaque you get after enough years in the field. I'm going to show you exactly what builds it, and stay with me because by the end of this video, you're going to understand the one shift that makes people see you as the person to trust, even if you just started last week. Here's where most women get this backwards. You think you need more credentials before anyone will listen to you. You think you need more certifications, a bigger title, or another degree. So you keep collecting proof of your own readiness instead of just showing up. And the entire time, women with half your skills and a fraction of your experience are out here building audiences, building income, and building influence because they understood something that you haven't let yourself believe yet. And that is, authority isn't about what you know. It's about what you're willing to say out loud while other people stay silent. I really want you to think about that for a second because I need you to really feel what I'm saying. The women who look like authorities online aren't always the most qualified people in the room. They're the ones who stopped waiting for permission to speak like they belonged there. So let's talk about how this gets built because it's not as confusing as the online world wants you to believe. And it's definitely simpler than what most marketing gurus are selling you in a 45-minute webinar. The first thing that builds authority is specificity, not a wide breadth of knowledge, specificity. That means being known for one clear thing matters more than being the expert on everything. I see so many talented women try to position themselves as the person for every problem, and it backfires every time because when you're out here trying to be for everyone, nobody remembers you. Except for in the medical field, people's brains just don't trust generalists. They trust the person who stays in their lane. Think about the last time you needed a specific kind of help. You didn't go looking for someone who does a little bit of this and a little bit of that, did you? You went looking for the person who could clearly, unmistakably handle your exact problem. That's your brain doing what brains do. It needs a box to put you in before it can trust you enough to put you in the yes pile. So if you've been trying to build authority by proving how much you know across the board, that's working against you. So niche down. Own one thing. Let people know exactly what to come to you for. The second piece, and this is the part almost nobody talks about, and that is authority is built in public through your POV, not your resume. Your resume tells people what you've done. Your point of view tells people how you think, and how you think is what people fall in love with. Anyone can list a bunch of accolades. Almost no one is willing to publicly take a firm stance, say something a little controversial, or challenge an idea your industry treats as the gospel. That willingness is rare, and rare things get attention. I want you to think about the accounts you follow because you trust them. I bet most of them aren't the ones with the most polished bios. They're the ones who said something that made you stop scrolling because it cut through the noise. This person had an opinion and they committed to it. You build authority the same way, not by hedging every statement so nobody disagrees with you. You build authority by having a clear, repeated POV that people start to associate that stance with your name. And keep watching because what I'm about to say next is the part that moves the needle on whether or not people trust you enough to pay you. And most people skip right past this because it feels too easy to matter. But trust me when I say, this part matters more than almost anything else I've already said. Now, the third part of all this is the consistency of your message, not the frequency of your posting. You've probably heard it before.
You need to post every day to build authority.
That's not quite right, y'all. What builds authority is saying the same core message in different ways over and over and over and over and over again until people cannot separate your name from your idea. Repetition isn't redundant. Repetition is how trust gets built. The people who you feel like are everywhere online didn't get there by saying 11 different things. They got there by saying one thing 11 different ways. So if you've been chasing content variety, trying to be everything to everyone, switching topics every week so you don't bore your audience, I need you to hear what I'm about to say. say. You're not boring your audience. You're confusing them. And confused people don't buy. Confused people don't refer you to their friends. As a matter of fact, confused people scroll right past you. So pick your stance, say it again, then say it again, and say it 22 more times for the people in the way back. Here's how I want you to think about this, because I think it changes how you see this whole authority conversation. You don't need to convince anyone that you're an authority. You need to stop performing for the people who were never going to trust you anyway, and start consistently showing up for the smaller group of people who already do trust you. That's the part that changes everything. Most women are out here trying to convince the whole entire internet. You don't need the whole entire internet. You need the right 100 people who believe you might be onto something. Authority isn't built by reach, it's built by repeated trust with a smaller circle that eventually grows because they tell other people about you. Now, I want to separate two things because they get treated like they're the same thing. And confusing these two things is what keeps so many women stuck. Here's the deal, y'all. Visibility and authority are not the same thing. And most of the advice floating around these internet streets combines them and uses them interchangeably. And they are not the same thing. Visibility is being seen. Authority is being believed. You can have a huge following and almost no authority because people scroll right past you without ever changing their mind about anything. And you can have a small following with deep authority because the few hundred people watching you would hand you their credit card the moment you say,
"Buy now."
I think about a woman I worked with who had maybe 800 followers. 800. And she sold out a coaching cohort in 4 days because every single person in that following had watched her say the same thing over and over until they trusted her. At the same time, I've seen accounts with 50,000 followers struggle to sell a $30 product because the followers came for entertainment, not belief. So if you've been chasing numbers, thinking your follower count is the goal, I want to take this time to redirect you. The goal here is never the size of the room. It was always the depth of the belief inside that room. You can know everything I just said and have built a beautiful POV, a clear niche, consistent messaging, and still feel stuck because you haven't figured out how to turn any of that into income. That gap between understanding your value and knowing how to translate it into an income stream is where most women stay stuck for years. I created a free training that walks you through exactly how to identify what you can sell from what you already know. I get into why skills-based businesses are such a viable second stream of income for women who are building online authority, even women who have never sold a single thing before. And I cover what most women get wrong when they try to start because it's rarely about your idea. It's almost always about the structure underneath your idea. I'm going to walk you through the entire framework, and by the time you're done with this training, you won't just know what to sell, you'll understand why it matters that you start now instead of waiting until you feel ready enough. So drop the word income in the comments and I'll make sure you get all the details. Now stay right here because there's one more layer to authority that I haven't said yet, and it's the one that determines whether all of this holds up in the long term. Authority without income is just a hobby with good lighting. Did you hear what I just said? I said authority without income is just a hobby with good lighting. And I'm not saying that to be harsh. I'm saying it because I see women build beautiful, trusted, well-followed online presences and never turn any of it into a single stream of income. And eventually their energy runs out. Look, I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat this. Building authority takes work. And if it never produces income, it becomes just another job competing with the one you already have, except this one you don't get paid for. That's the piece nobody warns you about. Your 9-to-5 was never meant to be your only stream of income. And your audience wasn't meant to be just a nice side hobby either. The authority you're building right now, the trust, your point of view, the consistency, all of it is meant to become leverage. It's meant to become a second stream of income that exists whether or not your job is still there next year. Here's the thing, y'all. Nothing about a paycheck is guaranteed anymore. Companies that looked stable 2 months ago are doing layoffs today. People with 20 years at one company are starting completely over. The idea that a 9-to-5 is your safety net was already shaky, but now it's shakier. Multiple streams of income aren't a luxury you build once you're already comfortable. They're the safety you build because comfortable isn't promised to you, Lottie, Dottie, or anybody else. In my experience, coaching always becomes the most natural step for the authority you're trying to build. And I want you to really consider this even if you've never thought of yourself as a coach. You've already done the hardest part. You've built a POV that people trust. You understand your niche better than most people in it. You figured out how to say one thing 100 ways until people remember your name. That's not just authority. That is the exact foundation coaching is built on. Coaching isn't about having a fancy certification or 20 years of skills. It's about having clarity other people don't have yet and be willing to guide those people to that clarity. This doesn't call for a brand new skill. It calls for packaging the skill you've already spent years building, and it's about letting other women pay for the shortcut. The years you spent figuring something out the hard way, alone, with no roadmap, that's exactly what someone else would pay a premium to skip. The authority you're building isn't just about looking credible online. It's about creating leverage, creating options, and creating a second income stream rooted in something you already know how to do. That's the real goal here, not just more followers, not just more visibility. The goal is freedom, fulfillment, and options that exist whether or not your current paycheck does. If you're ready to turn what you know into your next stream of income, I built something especially for you. It's called 2K in 2 hours, and it walks you through quickly getting your first paid offer out into the world without needing a course, a funnel, or a perfectly built brand first. You can learn more about 2K in 2 hours by visiting my website at herincomeedit.com/2K, or just click the link down in the description. Here's the thing about all this. Authority was never just about being seen. It was always about being paid for what you already know. If you're new here, my name is Nick Scott, and I help women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses. If you want to go deeper on this, watch this video next, because it's going to show you exactly how to start without quitting your job first. Okay? I'll see you there.